after 9, thanks for sticking with us. Tax season, folks, well, it has arrived. And for some, this time of year can bring a lot of stress, anxiety. Do I have all of the documents I need? Are you sure you have all of the information right? Are you worried about getting audited?
Those are all questions that are very common. And this morning, we thought we'd call one of our tax experts to join us and go over what it is that we need to know before filing. We have Jim Schnell from MMB+CO with us this morning. Thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Good morning.
We were just talking right before we came on air. It's always a worry that you're going to be audited.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's
absolutely.
Yeah.
Taxes for many people is a source of anxiety, right? And it's the unknown. But in a positive way, in the modern system, with so much being done, e-filing and digital and transmission, it's so much further streamlined now. And the IRS audit rates are actually at all-time lows, right? So, really their focus is a lot of, you see the international or the offshore or the ultra-high net worth investments. Things of that nature. That's where you're really seeing the investment or the expansion where they're trying to look into those more, right? But no, in terms of the average middle class payer, the taxpayer, the family of four, that audit rate really is at an all-time low, much less than 1%.
We were talking before we came on air about one of the big differences this year, which is that there really aren't a lot of big differences this year.
Right. This is the last year, 2025 is, so in 2017, when the first Trump was, those without modification are set to expire at the end of 2025. So you're going to hear a lot. You've already heard a little bit in the news, but this is going to be a big year for taxes in this country. It's going to expire, and we go back to 2017 tax laws if nothing changes. So it takes an act of Congress. We actually need an act of Congress this year to get our tax laws stabilized moving forward.
It seems like it's going to be a little bit chaotic.
It's tricky discussions because one of the things that affect a lot of people, the SALT cap, that state and local property tax cap that famously came into place in 2017, 2018, there's a lot of pressure on that to expand that, right? That hasn't indexed for inflation since it came into effect. So then all of a sudden, if you tinker with that one item, all of a sudden, then you're looking at the whole tax aspect. It's not just extending everything wholesale. You fix one tricky part. Do you extend it all as is? Or do you start modifying certain pieces of it? Then it has to be paid for. It has to be scored. If they're going to try the budget reconciliation, there's certain rules on how that legislation has to get through Congress if they don't want more than 50 votes or to require more than 50 votes in the Senate. So it is going to be interesting, as you said, the process. So stay tuned. We are going to see a lot of it, and you guys are going to be covering a lot of it.
We sure will. For somebody sitting at home who maybe we just have dual income, 2 kids at home, two W-2s that we know we're going to get postmarked before January 31st. Those will show up at home. What other documentation is pretty common that you're going to need to have ready before you sit down with someone like yourself or before you go to H&R Block or one of those other big chains?
Sure. What you're really looking for is, I always tell people kind of 3 things. One, pull out last year's return. And that's the best indicator, what happened in your life prior year. That's going to help you. All right, what am I looking for this year, right? And that could be a dividend dividend statement, an interest, 1099 interest, 1099 dividend. Your mortgage interest deduction is going to come from the bank. Many times if people have an escrow, that also has an interest income component to it, right? The second thing I tell people is go back through your bank statements, your credit card statements, look at what your life did. Many times you had something go on last spring, last summer, and all of a sudden it's out of sight, out of mind, right? Especially in that charitable endeavor, right? You cleaned your house over the summer, you dropped off the non-cash donations. Oh yeah, we did a lot of those, right? So go back through your life and what happened at that time. And then the third thing I tell people, look at your change of life events, births, people passing away, change in marital status, change in residency, right? All of those issues are going to spur taxable events, most likely for yourself, especially with children, right? Births, child tax credit, dependent tax credit, college savings, 529 plans, college credits, when your child goes off to college. So change of life events. So those three factors really I tell people to look at this time of year. That's the best way to get ahead of yourself right now and be ready to what documents to look for. Some, as you said, come by January 31st. Brokerage statements and whatnot usually come by the end of February. So there's definitely some deliverables here, January into February. And you want to make sure you have everything before you go file, because you're like, oops, oh no, this came in, I might have to file an amended return, right? You don't want to get caught in that trap, so.
We really appreciate your time today.
Yeah,
Thank you for the advice. For somebody who's sitting at home thinking, I'm in way over my head, what's a good way for them to get in touch with you?
Look on our website, MMBaccounting.com. You'll have an easy link to me, myself, our peers, but we're always happy to help answer any questions for anybody.
Before you leave, I got a whole filing cabinet at my desk. I'll give to you on your way out the door.
old shoebox, right?
Yes,
Yes, the old
exactly,
shoebox.
exactly. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Time right now is 9:16. We still have a lot to come this morning here on Ark Rochester. When we come back, we are going behind the story.